Well, Angela, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm really excited to go into this episode because I know that you've got a lot of experience and such a great story to share with us. So, without further ado, why don't I hand over to you so you can introduce yourself to the audience and tell us what you do?
All right. Thank you so much for the invite. I am enjoying myself already, just knowing what you do, your type of podcast and your reach. So I am Angela Fields, the creator and founder of CurlyCoilyTresses, a natural hair care brand. And I'm also the founder of Ageless Tresses, navigating hair health through menopause and beyond. So I spent 26 years in corporate America, in the utility industry at two different companies. And then after losing my job, I decided eventually to launch my hair care brand. Now, to give you some of the backstory, over the years, I had twice lost my hair to chemical relaxers, once from a kitchen beautician and then once from a licensed cosmetologist. And so after that happened, I decided I wanted to know all about my hair so that I can uh, communicate to the cosmetologist what they should be doing if they were not already doing it. And it was interesting because there would be a range of reactions, but I never wanted to lose my hair or just surrender the health of my hair to someone else and then take a wait and see approach. And this was before the internet. This was before all of the different ways we have now to gain information. So it wasn't easy, but it was just something that I did. And I continued doing it over a course of many, many years. So, when you're thinking about closer to the time I launched the brand, I started having a lot of allergic reactions and went through some patch testing, allergy testing. And one of the many things that I was allergic to is fragrances. And
Mm.
fragrances are in 96 to 98% of all US hair care. And then the numbers are less so when you're talking about the international market. So I tapped into what I could find, and my hair was much drier because at the same time of all the allergies and the reactions, I decided to stop using chemical relaxers and just use my natural hair texture. And it was a drier type texture. So as I'm acclimating to that, trying to find things that are not scented or unscented, fragrance free, it was difficult, but I found some things in the US, wasn't happy, started shopping in Europe and in Canada, and had better options, clearly had a lot better options, but I wasn't completely satisfied with everything. So by now, I decided I'm just going to start buying raw ingredients. I've been accumulating this knowledge base since I was a teenager and coming forward all the years, everything that I learned. So I bought the raw ingredients that I knew my hair needed and started formulating in my kitchen and had perfected my recipes and was doing this for about a year and had friends and family telling me, you need to sell these products. And I'm like, yeah, I got a job. I don't need another job. But then after losing my job, it opened the opportunity for me to launch the products that I have been curating in my own kitchen and on my own hair. So that is how I came to hair care. I can't even say it was a dream that I had or a vision. It kind of just happened.
But you know what? What I love about your story is the natural process of how it happened. I think a lot of people just force their way into a direction to realize that that's not what they wanted to do.
Mhm,
And for you, it was just so natural. It is something that you already explored from a young age. And
mhm.
here you are, and you've got a very, very successful product based business.
Yes.
So well done. It's lovely to hear that. And I think, coming from a perspective of a requirement and a need for yourself, but also realizing that you're not the only one and that you
Mhm.
can support other people with your products is phenomenal. So well done, you. It's a lovely story. I love hearing all of this. So
Thank you.
let's talk about the business entity because this is where I always get excited. When you launch the products, and obviously with what it is that you've done to grow, there's three elements in particular that you speak about. And the first one in particular is brand identity. Now, from your experience, how did you find creating these products and obviously you being in the background running this business? How did you find the brand identity start and evolve over the time?
Oh, absolutely. When I initially launched, I launched as a fragrance-free brand. And then I realized that that element alone is not going to attract the customers that I needed. There are many people in this space, when you look at the numbers, that need to avoid fragrances for a variety of reasons. And so I needed to talk about other components of the brand, the types of ingredients. Many of them are food grade, they're organic, they're cold pressed. So the products tend to be in the more natural arena as far as what comes together. And no matter when you smell the product, it is still not going to have a scent. It is completely scent neutral. So I knew that that would still be critical, but I also needed to talk about the products are dye-free, very safe, very nourishing from children to adults, men and women in essence. Although men are still a smaller portion of my customer base, it's primarily women focused. But I also wanted to use ingredients that replicate or simulate different types of things that our bodies produce. So then you're talking about the different some of the humectants that are in the ingredients. So it's like oats. It is talking about sodium lactate, which is something produced by the body. So that is very helpful to have in a brand. And then oats works very well as drawing moisture in. So I wanted to replicate some of the things that happen in the human body rather than bringing in different types of chemicals to try and do those same things. And then the element of targeting women that are 50 plus, it was a larger white space, if you will, in the natural hair care arena. So there are many through their social media footprint, through their advertising, through their positioning. They're looking at a younger audience, and then you may have some that are in a broader range, talking from 30s and up. And so my brand became very specific to women 50 and up. In the uniqueness, because now you're talking about what are hormones doing to hair. And while as women, we speak about hormones impacting the body, that is more common. Okay, you got this night sweats, the brain fog is happening. So all these different types of things, but we don't talk about how hormones are affecting our hair and how that transition is affecting the hair. And so it then became this natural transition to, I need a course. I need to be able to educate people on what is happening in their body that is not them and is not just them. When you look at the numbers in America, that's 84 million women that are 50 plus that are going through this. And so many of them feel isolated and alone. So it's bringing all those elements together. This is the course. So now we can talk about what happens in your hair. And then these are the products that you can use, or you can use these products to supplement what you're already using at home. But it's like this educator aspect in me of wanting to make sure they understand. So that's how it came to focus in the particular niche that I am in.
Yeah. And I love that, because I think at the end of the day, specifically for organic products, even these days, if you sometimes look at organic products, there are still elements of chemicals in them. And I love how you have gone literally down to the basics of everything organical. But in addition to that, even though we know it can work for anybody, the fact that you focused on 50 plus women, because I've had conversations with so many nutritionists, health, fitness people who are working with women who's going through menopause, but I've never come across anybody who's saying, you need to look after your hair, because that's one of the things that we don't realize. As you get older, your hair starts thinning. You're possibly starting to lose it. They're changing color, all of those things, but we never think about it.
Right.
And where you come in, understanding what is going on for these particular type of women, what is happening with their bodies, but equally what it is that you can give them in order to help them to come back into that nourishment of what it is that their body requires is phenomenal. So you've definitely done your homework. But let's talk about the second element, because the other thing is as you said, obviously with women in particular, they need to get educated about these things. And this is where the customer engagement come in. So apart from you just referring to the course there, what is it that you've learned over the years about your customers and the engagement, and what it is that you've got to do in order to make sure that people know about this and start talking about it?
One of the interesting things, because I can be a detail person, I want to cross every T and dot every I, but I have learned that not every customer wants to know that full knowledge or that full background. They just want to know what can I do to fix my dry hair? I don't really want to do that. I just want to fix my dry hair. And so I have learned that to meet the customers where they are. There are some customers that want to know the details, and then there are customers that just want to know the solution. This is my experience. What's the solution for that? And so meeting customers where they are, and then also looking at the variety of customers in social media. So where am I going to find the bulk of ladies 50 over? Is it going to be the Instagram and TikTok? And that has been the smaller numbers. Really, it's going to be YouTube. It's going to be in LinkedIn. It's going to be a much better spot. And even Pinterest tends to not be where my customers are. So it's also been a learning experience as you evaluate and toy with different types of social media, advertising that resonates, the use of language that resonates, from the website to social media to newsletters.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that in, because I think not a lot of us, whether we're running a product-based or a service-based industry, a business, we don't think about meeting our customers or clients where they're at. We always think about, how people talk about creating this avatar about who your ideal client is, about what their problem is. But I love what you said about meeting them where they're at that moment in time. And it's true, because not everybody is at this specific time where you want them to be in order to sell a service or a product. But it's about how adaptable you are in order to receive them and take them from where they are in their journey, and obviously moving them forward and assisting them along the way. So I love that you brought that up. So from your experience, if I can just touch up on social media a little bit, because I know people love to talk about it, how did you find that process, or how can I say this another way? How long did you find that process was of kind of like eliminating the platforms where your clients were not at? What was that process like for you to go through all of those social media platforms and tick the ones that say yes and cross out the ones that say no?
It's trial and error, because you really don't automatically know, because there is some portion of the population that is there, not necessarily all of them. And so it is just trial and error of you getting onto the space. Are you going to go with video? Are you going to go with just, your head and shoulders talking? Or are you going to talk about pictures? Those types of things, or pre-designed videos, if you will, and talking about the specific elements of the products. And so it's a whole lot of trial and error, because you may know what the statistics are telling you, but you won't really know until you step out there and try, and then see how customers are resonating, and then see the times of the day that varies. So, for TikTokers and Instagram, for certain aspects, it's going to be later at night, or maybe even you find that for YouTube. And so how people use social media does vary. What they find useful about it. Are they coming there looking for hair care tips, or is that what they do over on YouTube, because the videos can be longer there than, say, what you may find in some of the others? So I underscore, while you may know the statistics of who's where, while you may have some very specific information about your customer, your industry, you truly won't actually know until you step out and try and see how it resonates or doesn't resonate. And then you always have to try different types of content, because what works on one platform may not necessarily work on the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you that question, because I think a lot of people just feel like, oh, this is where my clients are at. This is where my customers are at. I'm going to go, 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 go. And they give it everything and they try it. And then they go like, nope, I give up. It's not working. And then they completely shift their focus on something else instead of doing that research. Like you're saying, I love how you say, I dot all the I's and I cross all the T's, because you are very meticulous in making sure that you know what is working, making sure the analytics are there in order to guide you, but also you stick with it for a little bit. It's not just a rolling thing. If something doesn't happen or work for you one day, you can just quickly jump ship the next day and move on to something else. So I wanted to ask that, because I feel a lot of people need to understand that things take time. So yes. Let's talk about the third thing, authentic storytelling. And this is something I love, because I love talking about stories, but I love about how we as business owners use them in our businesses. So from your experience, how do you incorporate storytelling in your business?
Wow. I really had to get comfortable with it because I kept thinking, nobody wants to know anything about me. They want to know about the products. And that's just not how it is today for smaller brands specifically. That may work for a larger company, like a L'Oreal or a Revlon. It may work for them in that particular space, but a smaller brand, yes, they want to know and identify with the person who owns that brand or who is the face of the brand. And so it is learning that people do want to know and then sharing your elements. And you want your story to be authentic. You're not trying to make up stories. You're trying to just say, this is how it went for me. I tried this or I tried that, and that just didn't work. And my hair looked crazy. And then I still had to leave the apartment because I was going somewhere. They want to know that, oh, she goes through the same things we go through. So there's some commonality there. There's a comfort there that this person truly understands what we're experiencing because she's going through it as well. And that also is the focus of wherever you are in your journey on natural hair care, for example, there's somebody that's further down that path from you. And you're helping to navigate that path so that they can then take those next steps. There's always going to be people ahead of you and always will be people behind you, but it's that camaraderie, it's that support. She's human. She's not Wonder Woman or anything. She is human. She lives her life just like I do. And then once they get that comfort level, then that brings them in as a customer for the content that you're producing and then for the products that you sell.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? Somebody said something beautiful to me one day. She said to me that you're at the right time, at the right place in your life where you need to be now. And I love that you shared that because it is true. We sometimes look at other people's stories, see them far ahead or see people further back. But what we don't always realize is where we're at this very moment. We are those people who are far ahead for somebody else.
Mhm.
So, our stories resonate with them and they can equally then grow and build that relationship and see how far we've come. But it's always that element that for a lot of us, we feel, gosh, I can't tell everybody I'm having a bad hair day, literally. Because I've got a very good brand about products and how good your hair is. But people want that authenticity. They want to see that you're just a human being.
Mhm.
Things happen. Everything isn't always perfect, which it never will be. And people resonate with that. People these days, I find people gravitate a lot more towards authentic stories
Mhm.
than just the perfectionism everybody's portraying.
Right. Yeah. And sharing those necessarily not favorable pictures. See, I told you.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I think it's really important for people to, even though they see that, oh my gosh, Angela, your hair is gorgeous, which by the way, it is, it's stunning. But even hearing your story about the growth of what you've done with your business, how far you've come, it wasn't all plain sailing. You had trial and tribulations along the way. And sharing those is what's making you human and what is attracting people and customers to you. So authentic storytelling is by far one of the best topics ever. Oh my gosh, we can talk about that for hours.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Angela, this is fantastic. If I may ask you, is there one or two little tips that you can share with the audience here? Let's say those women 50 plus who are now experiencing menopause, everything is happening with them, they're confused, their hair. Is there one or two tips that you would like to give them so they can just start looking and taking care of themselves a little bit more?
It doesn't require a highly complex or complicated regimen. It doesn't need 12 different products used in this order at this timing for things to work for your hair to really be its best, to be its healthiest best. It could be a pivot of some products. It could be using products differently. It
Mhm.
could be something as simple, okay, you're doing all the things, but you're not protecting your hair at night because cotton is very drying and dehydrating the hair. So maybe you need to put a satin cap on or use a satin pillowcase or satin or silk, scarf, something like that to protect your hair. So getting them to open up and talk to me about, well, this is what my routine looks like right now. and then I can see where that change may be needed. So it doesn't necessarily mean a complete and total overhaul of everything you've ever known in the world for hair. It could be that pivot that you can make. So one example that I will give, in 2017, after applying a treatment product to my hair, I'd come out of the shower and I'm getting ready to put a plastic cap on to steam my hair and help the treatment to penetrate. And as I'm looking at my hair, I noticed my part was looking kind of wide. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is my hair thinning? Which generally is what's happening when your part, which had always been barely visible, and now all of a sudden you got a lot more scalp peering through that part. Well, ultimately, for me, it turned out to be a vitamin D deficiency. So I had to start taking supplements, and I had the blood work done. My primary care physician had already ordered some blood work for an upcoming visit, and vitamin D was one. And she said, whoa, you are really low on D, and started a supplement. And it doesn't happen overnight. You really have to supplement to really build up those levels and then help the hair start filling in again. So that was my first one. So it didn't require a huge pivot. I needed the vitamin D added to my regimen, taking that on a daily basis to address that. And then another example, I was filming content and I leaned over to pick up something off the floor to talk about it on camera. And later when I was editing the video, I noticed when I leaned over, I could see the top of my head. And there was about a golf ball size section where I could see through my hair and see my scalp. And I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. I saw the dermatologist and I'm sitting there telling her, I think I've got a problem. My hair is thinning. And she's looking at me like, Angela, you've got hair for days. What are you talking about? I said, just look. And she's still saying, well, I'm sure this is going to be fine. And then she stopped talking and I knew she saw the spot. And afterwards, she confirmed that it was CCCA, which is a type of alopecia. And this is a type of alopecia that is a scarring type of alopecia, meaning you've got scar tissue over the hair follicles, which is the roots of your hair. And so when a woman loses her hair or her hair thins out, generally, what you look at are the follicles healthy and capable of producing new hair. Well, then you know that your hair can regrow. But what also impacts it is the presence of scar tissue, because your follicles could be producing hair, but that scar tissue is not letting the hair grow through the scalp, come up through the scalp. And so when you look at instances like this, generally with a scarring type of alopecia, you need to break up the scar tissue and then to see what your follicles are capable of doing. And if you don't have that scar tissue, it's just waiting and seeing if your hair is going to push through. Then you know your follicles are healthy and you can regrow the hair. So that's key. So what I started with my dermatologist is we went through scalp injections of a steroid. Once a month for 6 months, you take a break for 3, and then you come back in to evaluate. And fortunately for me, the treatment worked and it did break up the scar tissue. So I had hair pushing through the scalp again, growing. So it was thrilling. So early intervention is key. You really want to look at your scalp on an ongoing basis, not just what you can see, your partner, friend, sister, mother, whomever you have. You want to get in there and move your hair around, and you want to look at the scalp everywhere to see if you've got a spot that seems like a rash, or it's irritated, or it's swollen, or you're just missing hair, because early intervention is always key, and to reach out for help.
Yeah, and I love that you're sharing that, because I think it's so important for us as women, like everything we do for ourselves, we constantly check our skin. And, another example, we constantly check our breasts for things that could be underlying. And I think just like that, we also need to incorporate what you shared. We need to check our scalps. We never think of doing that because it's just hidden. So we never think of checking it. But just like we always keep an eye on our bodies of what we can see, we also need to keep an eye on our scalps. And I love how you're bringing that in, because again, we don't think about this. So just highlighting that today, I think, has given a few women a couple of ideas, and they might be sitting there tonight with a mirror, which is a good thing.
Yes. Very good. Yes.
But I love what you're sharing, because it's like we said earlier on, if we are not getting educated about these things, we wouldn't be knowing what to look out for or what to do. And this
Right.
is where you have an amazing course going on about educating us about what to do, how to treat our hair, how to look after ourselves. Tell us a little bit about this course and what people can expect from it.
Yes. So coming into the course, what are some of the basic objectives is ensuring that you can recognize what menopause looks like in your hair. You know,
Yeah.
how does your hair reveal something different? So your hair can become, if you have naturally curly hair, you could start getting some straight hair in, or vice versa. It may be a level of dryness you've just never experienced before. You thought you had solved that dryness in your hair, but you really didn't. And then that's where thinning can come in and alopecia can come in. We've got to talk about hormones. So cortisol, the stress hormone, we all know we probably have too much of that going on. But again, managing stress, making sure we're getting that nutrition. But then there are also hormones, progesterone, testosterone, DHT is another one. These all hormones, they do impact our hair. And so there is a regular schedule of how you should cleanse your hair, the frequency that you should cleanse your hair, the best way to moisturize. So you're getting the best result from a moisturizer by putting it on soaking wet hair. So you don't want a towel dry, you don't want a t-shirt dry before when you're coming out of that shower. Get that product onto the soaking wet hair. And also understanding about porosity. So this is a measure of how well your hair can absorb and retain that moisture. So if you have a lot of damaged hair and your cuticles, which is the top layer of your hair, they're kind of like shingles on a roof because they lay down and
Yes.
they protect the hair. So they're the guardian of what gets into the hair shaft and what gets repelled back. And so if you have a lot of damage to your hair and you're encountering a lot of frizz and a lot of tangling, that porosity could be an issue. And so you also get some ways to test for it. And it's very, very simple, not anything complex, but you learn that you may need to change up the order of way you're using your products, or you may need to add something to the mix because you don't have the right element. Um, Something that is very commonly stated in the beauty space is that really all you need is oil on your hair. Well, oil is oil. It is not moisture. Water is the optimum of moisture, but
Yeah.
it in and by itself, it can't moisturize your hair because it evaporates so quickly off the surface. It's going to take some moisture with it. And so these are some of the things that we get down and explain. Okay, I've been telling you, put your moisturizer on soaking wet hair. And then there are reasons behind that because of the pH of the shampoo, and now your cuticles are lifted and your hair can best receive it. So it's talking through, these are the basic steps I want you to follow, and then understanding this is why I'm telling you to do that. So these are the types of things that we step through. You leave with downloads of your checklist of what to do when you're shampooing your hair, when you're treating your hair at night, when you're protecting your hair from cotton. So you do leave the session with your downloads that you have available, ready reference cheat sheets of what you can do.
That's
Yeah.
incredible because you just gave so many tips already. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. I didn't. So just from this, I feel like everybody has learned so much, about our hair and what we need to look out for. Well, thank you so much for making that available to everybody. So for those of you listening, and you've just absolutely made a ton of notes of what Angela shared here, my suggestion is to go check out Angela's course. The details will be in the show notes of where to go and look at it. But in addition to that, I would also suggest that you connect with Angela on social media, go and check out her website, go and check out her products. Oh my gosh, her products, organic, like she said, she's done all of that research. And I think for us just to start making some of these small tweaks, getting that knowledge through the course, but then also knowing that you've got a great resource to go to now in order to get amazing organic products, just go it. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day.
Right.
And no pun intended, you've got everything to gain. But I just absolutely loved having this conversation with you, Angela, because not just from the business entity about you sharing your experience, how you've grown the business, but I think also that builds that kind of rapport of you having done something really incredible and helping so many people, and now taking what you've learned and now educating us through your course as well. And I just love the combination of the both. So I think everybody listening to this is really already possibly jumping on that link if they haven't done so yet. But I think they really made a bunch of notes. And personally, for me, I really enjoyed it because I find it very interesting. It's just so much knowledge. I didn't even know where to start. I'm going to go look at my products first.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And you're very welcome, Jess.
Oh, no problem. Angela, thank you so much for the time being here with us. I really appreciate it. And for those of you listening, make sure to go and connect with Angela on social. Like I said, go jump on that course because, you might just learn a thing or two that is going to make a heck of a difference for you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Angela. Enjoy the rest of your day and we'll be in touch very soon.